learned 26 letters as a child. A student in China learns over 3,000 symbols and remembers almost everyone. That isn't talent. It's one method they're taught as kids. A method that installs a memory skill the rest of us were never given. And it doesn't just work on symbols. It works on anything you learn. Almost nobody outside the country knows it exists. I'll show you exactly what it is. Start with the size of the thing because it sounds made up. By the end of primary school, a Chinese child is expected to read around 3,000 characters and write 2,500 of them from a blank page. 3,000. That one number covers almost everything they will ever read. Hand an adult 3,000 tangled little drawings and tell them to reproduce any single one on command, and most would call it impossible. A room of 7-year-olds clears it every year. So for a long time, Western researchers looked at how those kids get there, and they were certain it was a mistake. Copy this character 100 times. Recite the textbook out loud until you can say it in your sleep. Drill the same kind of problem until your hand cramps. To a Western teacher, that is the definition of shallow learning. Memorizing without thinking. It should produce kids who can parrot and nothing else. Then the international test scores came in, and the children raised on all that mindless drilling were beating everyone. They didn't just remember more, they understood more. The contradiction was so strange that researchers gave it a name. The paradox of the Chinese learner. Here is the part that should bother you. It was never a paradox. The drilling that looks like the dumbest part is the engine. There is a saying over there, 1,000 years old. Read a book 100 times and the meaning shows up on its own. So it isn't talent, and it isn't in spite of the boring methods. It is because of them. And the first one is something your own teachers probably told you to stop doing. Watch a Chinese classroom for 5 minutes and you will see something that looks like a waste of time. The teacher writes one character on the board slowly, one stroke at a time, always in the same order, top to bottom, left to right. Then the whole class lifts a single finger into the air and traces the same shape in empty space. No paper, no ink, 30 small hands drawing nothing. Then they fill a page with it by hand, the same character, row after row, until the hand makes the shape without being asked. It looks like punishment. It is the opposite of punishment. When you write a character by hand, you're not only looking at it. Your hand learns the path through it, the exact route, the order, the turns. That movement gets stored as its own kind of memory, one the eyes alone never build. Writing a character by hand even switches on parts of the brain that typing leaves dark, and there is a tell that gives the whole thing away. Among children learning to read, the ones who write the most by hand turn out to be the same ones who read the best, not the reverse. The hand is teaching the eye. Sit that same child in front of a screen and let them watch the strokes glide into place on their own, and almost nothing sticks. They have to move it themselves. The memory lives in the motion. So that is the first piece. The method goes in through the hand, not just the eyes. But writing it in is only half of it. The next move feels like failing on purpose. Every serious Chinese student keeps a notebook, not of the things they got right. It is called the error notebook, and it only holds mistakes. Every question you get wrong goes in. Not the clean right answer copied out neat. The wrong answer too. And one line that matters more than anything else on the page. Why you got it wrong. The careless misread. The rule you never actually knew. The step you skipped because you were rushing. Then, days later, you come back and try that same question again from a blank page. No notes in front of you. Solve it cold, and you cross it out. Miss it, and it stays, and you come back to it again. The notebook is built to get thinner over time, not thicker. The entire goal is to empty it. So why does it work? And why does it feel this bad? Think about how you studied for your last real exam. You read the chapter again. You went back over your notes, and the page looked familiar, and it felt like it was sinking in, so you walked in feeling ready. Then a question came at it from a slightly different angle, and your mind went blank. That is the trap, and almost everyone falls in it. Reading something again only proves you can recognize it, and recognizing feels like progress because it is easy. But recognizing is not remembering. The error notebook forces the opposite. It makes you drag the answer out of an empty head, watch yourself get it wrong, and rebuild it correctly. That is harder, it feels worse, and it is the part that actually holds. The bad feeling is not a side effect of the method, it is the method. The error notebook in this video works. For most people, it's enough, but it's the light version. 1,000 years ago, students faced an exam called the Keiju. It was the hardest exam ever built. They took this same idea, hunting down your own mistakes, and pushed it past anything most people today could survive. We know how far they went by what they smuggled into the room. One that survived is a shirt, covered inside and out with more than 700 tiny essays, written in script so small it took a single rat's hair to do it. It still sits in a university library. I went through the full system underneath that notebook. Why the mistakes you were sure you got right matter more than all the others, and exactly how to hunt them down. I put it all in one place. It's the nuclear version. It's for the people who have tried the normal way and still can't make anything stick. If you want it, it's on my Patreon. Link in the description. But for most of you, the notebook in this video is enough. Start there. Writing and self-testing still don't explain how one 12-year-old holds 3,000 of anything. That takes one more move, and it is the one that finally makes the number possible. Here is what a Chinese reader sees that you don't. You look at a character and see a wall of strokes. They see a handful of parts they already know, clicked together. Because a character is not one solid shape. It is built, and the whole language is built out of a small set of pieces, around 214 of them. That is the entire kit for everything. Watch it work. The character for tree is a few strokes. Stand 2 trees side by side and you get a new character that means woods. Stack 3 of them into a little pyramid and you get another that means forest. Nobody sat there memorizing forest. They drew a part they already owned one more time. And the parts carry meaning, so they do half the work before you even start. The mark for water is a few quick strokes. Once you know it, you start spotting it tucked down the side of hundreds of other characters, and every time it quietly tells you the same thing. This one has something to do with water. You get a piece of the meaning before anyone teaches you the word. So the 7-year-old was never carrying 3,000 pictures in their head. They were carrying a couple hundred parts and the rules for snapping them together. The mountain was built from the same few bricks, stacked a different way each time. 3 techniques now. Writing by hand, the error notebook, building from parts. They look like 3 separate tricks. They are not. There is one thing hiding underneath all 3, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Line them up next to each other. Writing every character out by hand is slower than typing it. Hunting your own mistakes in an error notebook feels worse than rereading the stuff you already know. Building a character up from parts is more work than just staring at the finished shape and hoping it lands. Every one of these trades the easy, comfortable option for the one that feels like more effort, every single time. That is not an accident, and it is not difficulty for the sake of looking tough. The friction itself, the part where it feels harder than it should, is the method doing its job. People who study memory for a living have a name for this. Desirable difficulty. The harder your brain has to work to take something in or to drag it back out later, the deeper it sets. Make it too easy, and it slides right off. Make it feel a little too hard, and it stays. So here is the secret the whole video has been walking toward. They are not studying harder than you. They are studying uglier. They pick the version that feels worst on purpose because the bad feeling is the proof it is working. Everything worth learning is hard. Subscribing isn't. Take the one easy win, which leaves one real question. If the method feels this bad every single day, why would an entire country put its children through it? The answer is not another technique. It is a belief, and it is 2,000 years old. In China, there is a phrase nearly every kid grows up hearing. 4 characters, qin neng bu zhuo. It means, more or less, that hard work makes up for whatever you lack in talent. When a child does well there, the credit usually goes to effort, not brains. Do badly, and the answer is rarely, you're not smart enough. It is, you haven't worked enough yet. That single belief is the real engine. It is what makes a person willing to do the ugly version of everything every day for years. And it is old, far older than you would guess. 2,000 years ago, a boy named Quang Hung was too poor to own a candle. At night, the only light he had was a thin line of it leaking through a crack in the wall from the neighbor's house. So he dug the crack wider and read by the light he stole through the wall. He worked a rich family's land for no pay at all, purely for the right to borrow their books. He rose to become chancellor, one of the highest positions in the empire. 1,000 years later came Fan Zhongyan, an orphan with almost nothing. He cooked a single pot of porridge, let it harden overnight, and cut it into 4 blocks with a knife. 2 blocks a day with a few stalks of chopped pickle for 3 years while he studied. He grew into one of the most famous statesmen in Chinese history. And in our own lifetime, a farmer's son named Yu Minhong took China's national college exam and failed. His English score was 33 out of 100. He took it again. He failed again, this time with a 55. Almost everyone quits here. He took it a 3rd time, scored 95, and walked into Peking University, the best school in the country. But getting in was just the start. In his first year, tuberculosis put him in a hospital bed for almost a year, so he turned that bed into a classroom. He memorized 50 new English words a day and pushed his vocabulary from 8,000 words all the way to 20,000. Years later, he used that same English to build a company. Today, it's worth billions. 2,000 years, 3 people who started with nothing, and the same thread runs through every one of them. Not the smartest in the room, the one who refused to stop. That is the belief sitting underneath the method. But before you go and copy any of it, there is a price tag. The same system that produces all of this runs its kids into the ground to do it. At the most intense schools, Students study 15 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their scores ranked and pinned to the wall for everyone to see. Sleeping maybe 5 hours a night. They have a word for the trap of it. It translates to involution, and it means running harder and harder just to hold your spot while everyone around you runs harder too. Nobody actually gets ahead. Everyone just bleeds. They have another phrase, pointed straight at what the system can produce. High score, low ability. The student who can win any exam ever written and then can't function outside of one. And that famous headline, the one that says, China is #1 in the world at school. That number does not come from China. It comes from 4 of its richest cities. The children who get left off the test entirely number in the hundreds of thousands. So hold the whole thing, honestly. The methods are real. The results are real. The cost is real too, and the version you were sold is only about half true. So the move was never to copy the country. It is to take the few things that genuinely work and walk away from the things that break people. You do not need the 15-hour days. You need the handful of things sitting underneath them. And unlike 3,000 characters, these work on anything you will ever try to learn. Stop rereading. Close the book and drag the thing out of your own head onto a blank page, by hand. Keep an error log and chase your own mistakes instead of looking away from them. Take anything too big to hold and break it into the small parts that keep repeating, then learn those first. And every time you are handed a choice between the easy way and the harder one, pick the harder one, because that is the one that stays. That belief underneath all of it, that effort beats talent, is the one part of this story that is completely true. That 7-year-old filling a page with the same character was not born with a sharper memory than yours. He was handed a set of habits that feel wrong, and the belief he could outwork the gap. That is the whole secret, and you can start tonight. But this method only gets knowledge into your head. Getting it back out, fast, the moment someone puts you on the spot, is a completely different skill, and it is the one the Chinese system never teaches. But there is a school that trains nothing else. I broke down how the top students at Harvard actually learn in this video. It is almost unfair. Watch it next.